Greetings everyone, this is C. Ravi Kishore Reddy, Assistant Professor in Department of IT, Vignanadhara Institute of Technology and Science, Vadlamudi, and in this particular session I will be giving you an introduction to object-oriented programming through C++. So as a part of this session we will be looking at the introduction part where we will be giving you all the things regarding introduction to object-oriented programming. So in this session, first we will be looking at the course objectives and what is the thing you are going to learn as a part of this course. Next we will be looking at the syllabus and what are the contents of that particular syllabus. And next we will be looking at a brief introduction to C++ and what are the things which are present as a part of C++. What is the difference between C and C++. Next we will be looking at the difference between C and C++. So as a part of this, we will be looking at the constructs which are part of C and which are not part of C, and we will be looking at the constructs which are part of C++ and which are not part of C++. So first we will be looking at the course objectives. So the course objectives in the sense, what are the things which you have to learn as a part of this course. The first objective is to describe the procedure and object-oriented paradigms, concepts with streams, classes, functions, data and objects. So what is this particular thing means? Basically you have to know what is a procedure oriented language and what is an object oriented language, and what is the difference between a procedure oriented language and an object oriented language, along with the object oriented language concepts such as streams, classes, functions, data and objects. Next we have to look at the demonstrational use of OOPS concepts with the help of programs. Whatever you are going to learn as a part of your object oriented programming, for each and everything you should be able to implement with programs. So if you are going for classes, you should know how to implement the classes. If you are going for functions, data, objects, each and everything of the OOPS concepts, whatever you are going to learn as a part of this course, you should be able to implement with proper programs. Next, we have to understand the dynamic memory management. I think you know what is the dynamic memory management, which will be part of your C language. So how we are going to implement this dynamic memory management with pointers? We'll be going in depth into this dynamic memory management in C++. Along with that, you should be able to understand what are constructors and destructors. Next, we should be looking at describing the concepts of function overloading, operator overloading, virtual functions and polymorphism. These are various object-oriented features you have to learn as a part of this course. So main thing is your function overloading. That is what the functions you can do with, that is you can write more than one functions with same name. Operator overloading, that is you have to be able to use your operator for more than one purposes, and virtual functions and polymorphism. You'll be looking at all these parts when you go for your further advanced concepts in object oriented program. Next, the last objective of this particular course is classify inheritance with understanding of early and late binding. And along with, you should be able to use exception handling and generic programming. So as a part of this objective, you should be able to learn what is inheritance and what are the types of inheritance you have. Along with that, what is late binding, early binding. Along with that, you should be able to know what is exception handling, how you are going to implement the exception handling part, and the generic programming. Okay, you'll be looking at all those things as you go along with your subject. So a brief review of this course objectives. First, you should be able to understand what is the difference between an object-oriented programming and procedure-oriented programming. Next, you should be able to implement all the object-oriented programming concepts with proper programs. Next, you should be learning some object-oriented concepts such as binding. Next, you should be learning about function overloading, operator overloading, and many things related to object-oriented programming along with exception handling and generic programming. We'll be looking at all these concepts one by one as you go through the course. So you should be able to learn all these things as a part of this particular course. That is why we'll be calling them as the course objectives. Next, so coming to the syllabus part, as a part of your unit 1, you'll be having introduction to C++. That is, you should be knowing various constructs which will be used in C++. First we'll be looking at the difference between C and C++, then we'll be looking at how C++ has evolved. Next we'll be looking at what is object oriented technology, that is what are the things which will be present as a part of object orientation. and we'll be learning about what is object orientation, how to look at it as a programming part. Next, we'll be looking at the disadvantages of your conventional programming. That is, what is the difference between object-oriented programming and conventional programming languages. Next, we'll be looking at what are the key concepts of your object-oriented program. Then, we'll be looking at what are the various object-oriented languages you have in your current stream and what are the advantages of your object-oriented concepts. So, basically, we'll be introducing you to Introduction to C++ along with object-oriented concepts in this particular unit. As a part of Unit 2, we'll be looking at classes and objects. This is the first part of your Unit 2, where we'll be learning the concepts of classes, objects, how you are going to implement classes, how you are going to implement objects as a part of your programming. Then we'll be looking at what is a member function and how you are going to do something called as the function overloading, that is overloading member functions. Next, we'll be looking at what is the thing called as nested classes. So apart from that one, we have the second part, that is constructors and destructors. We'll be learning as a part of the second unit. So the two parts, that is classes and objects and constructors and destructors. Coming to the third unit, we'll be having operator overloading, type conversion and inheritance. So the main important two topics we have is operator overloading and inheritance. So operator overloading is nothing about how you are going to use one operator for multiple purposes. So how you are going to implement that thing, we'll be learning as a part of operator overloading. Then we'll be looking at a concept called as inheritance. We'll be looking at a brief view about each and everything in the first unit itself. Later we'll be going into the advanced concepts regarding your operator overloading and inheritance. Next, as a part of Unit 4, we'll be having pointers and binding. So next we'll be having polymorphism and virtual functions. So here we'll be looking at dynamic memory management using pointers. Along with we'll be looking at what is early binding, what is late binding. Then we'll be looking at polymorphism, another key object-oriented programming concept, along with virtual functions. So this is a part of Unit 4. And in the last Unit 5, we'll be having generic programming with templates and exception handling. So we are having two parts here. One is exception handling, how you are going to handle exceptions or errors in your programs. Next, we'll be looking at templates, that is how you are going to implement generic programming using templates. So we'll be looking at all these things as a part of your syllabus. So as a part of syllabus, you'll be looking initially at Introduction to C++ programming and OOPS concepts. Next, we'll be looking at all the OOPS concepts one by one. So all the OOPS concepts will be a part of your Unit 2, 3, 4 and 5. So this is about your syllabus. Next, so to follow this particular course, we'll be referring the textbook, that is Programming in C++, Ashok Kamten. And to refer this particular course, you can use the references, the complete reference, which will be good for you to learn overall programming part in C++. Next, to refer other things, the first book of C++ will be fine for you. So this is a basic thing what you have to use. So if you want to implement your complete syllabus part, you will be looking at the first textbook, that is Programming in C++. So if you want to refer the complete language, you will be looking at the complete reference C++. Apart from your syllabus, that is Advanced Concepts in C++. If you want to look at graphics, other things, you can refer complete reference C++. Next thing, we'll be getting to introduce to C++. So basically C++ is a general purpose, high level compiler based object oriented programming language. So we'll be briefly looking at what are these parts. So general purpose programming language is in the sense that it will not be used to develop only one specific type of programming or one specific type of software. It can be used to develop wide variety of softwares. And we'll be looking at what are the types of softwares we can develop by using your C++. In the applications part, we'll be looking at C++ applications in the next session. And as a part of this session, we have to just know that C++ is a general purpose programming language. That is, it will be used to develop wide variety of softwares, not only a simple ones, not only a specific ones, wide variety of softwares. Next, it is a high level language. So in the C language itself, you should have known what are the types of languages you have. We'll be looking at low level languages and high level languages. So C++ is a high level language, as most of these things will be understood by the human user and it will not be understood by your machine. That is why we'll be calling it as a high level language. Then it is a compiler based language, that is, in order to implement this particular programming language, you need to have a compiler. So it will be converting your high level language program into machine level language. That is why you'll be needing a compiler. And at last, it is an object oriented programming language. So C is basically a procedure oriented programming language. We'll be looking at the difference of these two, but C++ is an object oriented programming language which will be having better features compared to C. So we'll be looking at object orientation in the next few sessions, but for the time being, you know that C++ is nothing but a general purpose, high level, compiler based and object oriented programming language. Next, C++ is basically an extension to C. So whatever the concepts which you have learned in C can be used in C++. Basically, you have to understand that it is an extension only. So it is not a new language which you will be learning again. So it will be just an extension to C. Whatever the concepts you have in C will be present as a part of C++. And it was developed during 1980s. Okay, we'll be looking at the evolution part later, but for the time being, know that it was developed in 1980s by Starstruck. And initially this language was named as C with classes. Why? Because we are having object orientation. In the object orientation concepts, classes will be the most important thing. So C will be implemented with classes, so that is why they have named C with classes. Okay, later the C with classes was renamed as C++. In 1983, the C++ came into existence by taking the cue of increment operator in C language. I think you remember the increment operator ++ in C language. Okay, this incrementer operator will be used here. So later C with the classes was renamed as C++, taking a cue from what we call increment operator in C language. I think you remember increment operator in C language where you'll be using ++ symbol for incrementing a particular variable. So the same thing has been taken here to use that ++ symbol to implement C++. The name was given using that particular symbol. So basically C language will be used for developing complicated applications, and object oriented languages such as C++ is better when you are writing some complicated application. You need to understand this, that while you are writing a simple application, C language will be just fine. But as the program complexity increases, when you are using C language, it will be somewhat harder for you to manage the program. But when you use the C++, it will be better for you to manage the program. So not only C++, any object oriented programming language will help you to write complicated or complex application programs. So next, we'll be looking at what is the difference between C and C++. We'll be going one by one. So basically C is a procedure oriented language and C++ is an object oriented language. So C is procedure oriented language in the sense that whatever you write, will be writing it in a function. And everything will be looking at as a procedure. Procedure means we'll be looking at a step-by-step solution for your problem. And when you go for your object-oriented programming, you will not be looking at solution, we'll be looking at each and everything as objects. We'll be looking at this part, that is what is procedure-oriented language and what is object-oriented language in the next session, in depth about what is procedure-oriented, how you are going to solve the problems using procedure-oriented language, and how you are going to solve the problems using object-oriented language. Just remember that C is a procedure-oriented language where you will be looking at only the procedure or solution to your problem. And whenever you go for C++, it is an object-oriented language where everything will be used in terms of objects. Whatever you write, we are going to write as functions in C, and whatever you are going to write, you are going to write as objects in C++. That is the basic difference. Next, C was developed in 1968 by Dennis Ritchie, and C++ was developed in 1980 by Benjamin Starstruck. So there was a gap of 10 years between C and C++. And initially, what you can see that C is basically a subset of C++. That is, whatever the features which are having in C will be part of C++. And whatever those are present in C++ will not be present in C. That is basically C++ is a superset of C. So C is basic thing, C++ is the advanced thing you have to learn here. So basically whatever that is in C will be part of C++. Next, data is not protected in C language while data is protected in C++. So this will be what you are going to learn as a part of this course. That is how data will be secured in C++ and why it was so much open and why it was not secured in C language. In the further slides, I will show you how C will be not securing the data and C++ will be securing the data. And next we will see the other things. Then C uses stdio.h header file for input and output functions. I think you remember while writing most of your C programs will be using stdio.h, that is standard input output header file. While C++ will be using iostream.h header file for input and output functions. iostream.h header file contains two objects. One is input stream object, iStream object, and output stream object. That is why we'll be calling it as iostream.h. So we'll be dealing everything in terms of objects. That is why we'll be calling it as iostream.h. So we'll be having two objects, input stream and output stream objects. So these objects will be used for input and output functions. And there will be no concept called as constructors and destructors in C, and we'll be having a concept called as constructors and destructors in C++. We'll be looking about these constructors and destructors in the second unit, but for the time being you can see the difference between C and C++ as a part of this. Next, in C we cannot give same name to the two functions in a program. So whenever you give same name to the same name to two different functions, we'll be getting a compile time error in C language. But we can use same name to two different functions in C++. That is what we'll be calling it as function overloading. So basically what you have to understand is we don't have function overloading in C and we'll be having function overloading in C++. Then for input functions we'll be using scanf in C and printf for output thing. That is, whenever you want to give input in C language we'll be using scanf, and whenever you want to give output we'll be using printf. And the same thing we'll be using cin and cout objects here, or as I told you we'll be using cin and cout objects for input and output functions. Okay, so whatever operations you want to perform input operations, you will be using the cin function or cin object, and cout will be used for output functions. And the main important thing is C will be using the top-down approach for problem solving or programming design, and C++ will be using what we call it as the bottom-up approach. What is this top-down approach means? Whenever you are going to trying to solve a problem, that is, if your problem is a larger program and we are going to break it down into smaller programs. And further it can be broken down into some more smaller programs like this. So basically what you need to understand is whenever you are using a top-down approach like in C, okay, we are going to break it down that particular program into smaller parts like this. That is, the larger part will be broken down into smaller parts. So whenever you want to solve the program here, the first we will be solving P3 and P4, indirectly we solve the P2. So once we solve the P1 and P2, we will be indirectly solving the complete program. So as you can see, this is a top-down approach. Whenever you are concerned about the top-down approach, basically what you will be doing is, we will be looking at the solution part, that is how to solve this particular problem. So in a top-down approach, we will be looking at the solution part, that is, we will be looking how to solve the program, we will be breaking down that program into parts, and we will be looking to solve the P1, and we will be again looking to solve the P2. So mostly we will be thinking about the solution part only. Okay. And when you go for the bottom-up approach, we will not be looking at the solution. Basically, we will be looking at the constraints at the bottom. So we will be looking at what makes this particular program. We will not be looking at how to solve that particular program. We will be looking at what makes this particular program. That is, what are the things which will be present as a part of this particular program. So C will be using functions to solve your top-down design. That is, will be writing functions inside another functions to implement the top-down design. For implementing the bottom-up design, we'll be using the objects, that is, we'll be having objects at the bottom. First, we'll be trying to create the objects. Using the objects, we'll be trying to solve a particular problem. and there will be no concept of inline functions in C. We'll be having a concept of inline functions in C++. We'll be looking at inline functions as you go further into this particular programming, but these are the basic difference between C and C++. A brief review, C will be a procedure-oriented language and C++ is an object-oriented language. C was developed in 1969, C++ was developed in 1980. Basically, C is a subset of C++. Next, data will not be protected in C language. Data is going to be protected in C++. Basically, C will be considering mostly about the functions and solutions. C++ will be mostly concerned about the data part and its protection. In C, we will be using the stdio.h header file. In C++, we will be doing iostream.h header file. And in C, we don't have the concept of constructors and destructors. We will be having constructors and destructors in C++. And in C, we will not be having function overloading. And in C++, we will be having the concept of function overloading. And for input and output, we will be using scanf and printf. And here we will be using cin and cout. And we are going to use the top-down approach in C language, and we are going to use bottom-up approach in C++, and we will not be having inline functions in C, and we will be having inline functions in C++. Okay, these are the basic difference between C and C++. Next, we will look at the applications of C++. So, as I already told you in the starting of this session, C++ language is a general purpose language. It will not be used only to develop only a small set of specific applications. It will be used to generate, or it will be used to develop a wide range of applications. Among these applications, we will be looking at what are the type of applications we can develop using C++ language. So the first one is, using C++ you can develop operating systems. Okay. So operating systems like MS-DOS, Windows, Unix, Linux, such languages will be used to develop by using C++. In fact, most of the Unix language was written in C language initially. But as the complexity of the operating systems increased, C++ language was more used to develop such operating systems. And another reason why you need to use C++ to develop operating systems is, as you know, operating systems mainly concerned about the speed of operation. Okay, so whenever you use the operating system, the main thing the user will be concerned about is the speed of operation. So whenever you are concerned about the speed of operation, languages like C and C++ will fare much better compared to other languages. So whenever you are concerned about C or C++, so these languages will help you to provide faster applications. So faster applications in the sense, since C is a middle level language, it will interact with the hardware more effectively compared to other languages. So that is why C++ also will fare better whenever you want to write a faster applications. Not just applications, a faster applications like operating systems. So most of the operating systems like DOS, Windows and Unix will work with developing by using C++. Next type of software is editors. Editors such as Notepad, WordPad, Edit+, are written by using C++. As you know, editors has to be running very fast. Why? Because whenever you type, the thing has to be visible on the particular screen. So if you type and it is slow in responding that particular application, it will not be suitable for you to use such editors. So by using C++, you can develop editors. Not only a basic editor, you can develop large number of high-end editors also. Why? Because C++ will support graphics and other things also, which will be helpful for implementing editors. The next set of applications you can see is commercial applications like banking, supermarketing, hotel programs like this, hotel management system, college management system. All these commercial applications can be developed by using C++. So most of these commercial applications can be developed by using C language also. As I already told you, whenever you want to develop an application, so it will be until a certain level of your programming, that is until you look at a large set of code. So whenever you are doing a small set of code, it will be suitable to write in a C language. But whenever you go for large programs or large lines of code, then you have to go for C++. Why? Because C++ will help you to better manage your code. The next type of software which you can develop by using your C++ is databases. Databases like the SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL are usually developed by using C++. Why? Because all these databases have to be interacting with the memory of your particular computer. So whenever there is a memory involved in your computer, whenever you want to write programs in which memory is involved, most probably you will be using either C or C++. Okay, since databases will involve memory, so we will be using C++ to implement your databases like SQL Server, Oracle and MySQL. And another set of softwares which can be implemented by using your C++ is translators. So language translators such as compiler, interpreter and assembler will help you to convert some high level language to a low level language. Such language translators can be implemented by using C++. So next set of applications which can be implemented by using C++ is your device drivers. So most of the particular computers require device drivers in order to run the particular devices. Okay, so since device drivers have to interact directly with the hardware, for example, if you want to write a device driver for keyboard, so there have to be a keyboard device driver. So these keyboard device drivers have to directly interact with the keyboard keys, which are mechanical, so which are hardware. So these hardware things have to be interacting directly with your program. So whenever there is a hardware direct interaction with the program, then most probably you will be using C or C++. So most of the device drivers involve this hardware interaction of either your keyboard, mouse, memory. So most of these things will involve hardware interaction. So whenever there is a hardware interaction, we will be using C language or C++, which will be providing instructions and they will be executed very fast compared to other high level languages. The next type thing is PC and mobile games. So many of the lower end PC and mobile games are developed by using C++. So in your course you might not be looking at large PC applications or mobile applications, but when you go for in-depth into C++, we will be having graphics and other advanced concepts. These concepts will be helpful in developing mobile and PC games. Even small games can be developed by using whatever the concepts you learn. Okay. Next, network protocols. So in computer networks, in order for two or more systems to interact, we need something called as computer networking protocols. These networking protocols such as HTTP, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, File Transfer Protocol, FTP, or Internet Protocol, all these protocols can be implemented or usually written using C or C++. So usually, mostly it will be written in C++. Why? Because it will be able to manage that large set of codes for managing your internet, that is FTP or HTTP. So this is about basically the applications involved in C++. The next thing you are going to look at it is how C++ has evolved, that is evolution of C++. It was developed by Starstrup in the early 1980s, and he has developed this particular language by taking in some object-oriented features of Simula67 and procedure-oriented features of C language. So basically what Starstrup has done is, he has taken the procedure-oriented advantages of C language and object-oriented advantages of Simula67, and he has combined these both features and developed a language called as C with classes. Okay, now C with classes has been renamed as C++ in 1983. Before this, when it is renamed, some of the features of Algol 68 were also included into that particular language. So it was developed by adding some more features from Algol 68. Okay, C++ was renamed in 1983, and The plus plus came from your, as I already told you, it came from increment operator of C language. So this is about evolution of C++. As you can see, okay, initially we had, so Simula 67, they have combined the features of Simula 67 and C language. So Simula 67 is an object oriented language and C is a procedure oriented language. They have combined the advantages of a procedure oriented language and object oriented language and clubbed into a language called as C with classes. Later, so some more features were added from Algol 68 and C with classes was renamed as C++. By taking this plus plus came from your increment operator. So this is how your particular language has evolved. Next, ANSI standard. So C language, whatever it was developed in 1980s, it only got standardized in 1994. Okay, so 1994. So this was standardized by ANSI, and most of the programming languages are usually standardized by ANSI, which will be acting as organization to set up standards in the computer industry. So what will be the thing we are going to get by standardizing C++ is, so once the programming in C++ is done and it is a standardized, that is ANSI C++ standard thing, then whatever the program you write, you can take it into another computer and execute it quite easily. This property will be calling it as portability. So portability is the feature of writing a particular program in one language and take that program and execute it in another computer, not the same computer, another computer. This particular thing will be calling it as portability. So by standardizing C++, whatever the language you are going to use, I think you will be having multiple versions. So all these versions can be run in different computers. So whenever you have standardized by using ANSI C++300 and you have written the program, so that thing can be taken into another system and get executed. So this is about ANSI standard C++. So a brief revision, whatever you have seen in this session. Initially we have looked at what is C++ in the introduction to C++. Then we have looked at the difference between C and C++. Then we have looked at what are the various applications of C++. And now we have looked at how evolution of C++ and what is the ANSI C++ standard and its portability. Thank you.